saying goodbye to this shelter comes with a heavy heart. This was the first shelter that I ever really built other than a tarp, just a regular tarp lean-to. This is the first thing that I actually bushcrafted, and I added to it and did different things to it over the course of the last year. But now that the cabin's here, I'll never stay on this again. So it's just in the way now. I'd like to put one fire pit right about where this shelter is, and this way the cabin can have a backyard that overlooks the pond. So unfortunately, this baby's got to go. Some of it does. Some of it gets through. Some of it bounces back.
Both sides. Good morning.
Well, now the cabin has a backyard. I'll probably be moving my fire pit around a couple times because I'm going to build a fire over each one of these stumps. Show you a cool bushcrafty trick here. Get yourself a piece of duct tape and roll it just around itself, and the petroleum or whatever on the duct tape, you've got yourself a natural fire starter here. It takes a little bit to get it going, but once it's lit, you have a fire starter. And it will burn for actually quite a while. Long enough to get some small pieces going. And just like that. This is how I do dishes at the cabin. Pretty simple, really. Okay, so no crazy gourmet supper tonight. I just heated up some leftovers. But dessert, on the other hand, is going to be pretty tasty. This is an old family recipe that my mom used to make when I was a kid and still makes to this day. And I would always want this on my birthday. Never any other kind. This is called Wacky Cake. It's a recipe from the Great Depression era, and it's just a really moist, really good chocolate cake. Now, I can't guarantee this is going to turn out because I'm going to try it for the first time in my Dutch oven. But I've made this recipe before and it turns out fine, but I've never made it in a Dutch oven. So, I'm going to post the recipe in the description of this video for anybody that wants it. Ooh, that echoed through the valley. Oh, it's like 18 degrees out. You know, I must be going crazy. I'm getting so used to cold. I just love the cold weather. Like, all I've got is a long sleeve t-shirt and a zip up hooded sweatshirt. And I'm roasty toasty warm. Sitting out here, 18 degrees out. I've never made a cake in a Dutch oven before. I don't see why it wouldn't turn out. Wouldn't be much different than the cornbread, I wouldn't think. I say way too much. I'm really trying to watch that, because when I'm editing videos, I have to edit out like 15 ums and one little talk. Anyhow, got the coals on the bottom and the top. The recipe calls for 350 for 1 hour, so I'm trying to duplicate that as best as I can. Obviously, there's no way to tell what the temperature inside the Dutch oven is going to be. But I think if it varies a little bit, it's not going to matter. The main thing is it cooks and rises. Ooh, did you hear that? Got some coyotes close by. It's one of those crisp nights where everything seems to have like a reverb. There's like a reverb to everything. It's because there's absolutely no wind. And that's why I'm able to sit out here at 18 degrees. I'm able to sit out here just fine because there's no wind. If there was wind, I would obviously not be comfortable. I think the wind, I guess that's a Midwestern saying, but the wind is 90% of the battle. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday, dear me. Happy birthday to me. Wow, that's got a really cool... She said these are the candles with the colored flames. That's pretty neat. Another year older. I'm gonna eat it right out of the Dutch oven. Ho 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 ho. Ho ho ho. Piping hot. Mmm. I still have to put frosting on it, but you gotta wait till it cools down to do that. Alright, so I just want to say thank you to all my friends and family and everybody who wished me a happy birthday this year. It seems like every couple of years I just have a really good birthday, and this was one of them. It seems like every 2 or 3 years I just feel extra loved on my birthday, and I got lots of love from a lot of people this year. And so I just want everybody to know that it definitely, it's very much appreciated. Excuse me. Another year older. But I feel younger than I have in a long time. Among other lifestyle changes and things that I've done, being in the bush and just this whole self-sufficient survival, learning about nature, just this whole thing that I've been doing in a nutshell has been so good for me that I feel it's like I've almost reversed an age. So I'm loving it. Very much so. Oh, I've been vegging out, so as you can see behind me, I figured out that if you can, well, I mean, I knew this, but I used my phone as a mobile hotspot and tethered it over to my laptop, and then I can watch YouTube and get online here in the cabin. It's not really roughing it. Actually, my internet was supposed to have slowed down like 2 gigabytes. I got one of those plans where like if you use so much it slows down, you know. And it never slowed down. So I hope I don't get a whopper of a bill or something. Anyway, one thing I wanted to touch on is my dad came by earlier today, and he's been burning wood in a wood stove for, my gosh, well, his whole entire life. I mean, he grew up, I mean, he lived in that old haunted house that I stayed in the first part of his life, and then they moved I mean, he's been burning wood his entire life, and they still have a wood burner to this day. And it's not like a boiler system; like they have a forced air wood furnace in their house, and so he knows the nature of the game. He is kind of an expert on burning wood and what kind of wood you should use and how you should go about doing it. And I told him my problems that I'm having with this wood burner, and he gave me some tips. He agrees that I should get some gaskets and try to seal up the front a little better. He agrees with all that, but he also thinks that the type of wood I was burning was a little crappy, and he gave me some pointers. One of the pointers he gave was he pointed me in the area. He showed me some logs to cut that he thought would be good wood. So I cut them up, and we're going to try them overnight tonight, and we're going to see if I have any better luck. Well, this was the fourth and also miserable night in the cabin. The stove ran away with itself again. It was at one point 100 degrees in here. I ended up just opening the window and trying to go back to sleep. It was a nightmare. I'm not staying in this cabin again until I get that stove fixed. This is unnecessary. I shouldn't have even had 4 miserable nights in here. I should have fixed that stove after the second night. But it just needs some gaskets, and if that don't work, I'm going to get a different stove, because I'm tired of messing with this thing. I know I put out a gear update video a while back on the Alpine Swiss Camp Chef stove, and it's horrible. I am not impressed at all. Now, maybe it'll be better after I get some gaskets, but I can see why it's only like $189, because it's a giant piece of crap. And it's made for 4 miserable nights here in this cabin so far. So I'm gonna see what my options are for stove gasket material online, and if that don't work, I'll go to the hardware store sometime this week and see if they've got something. But I gotta tighten that stove up. If you're lucky enough to get a log going when you go to sleep that stays going and doesn't run away with itself, then you wake up and you're cold, so you stoke it up, and then it just burns you out. It's ridiculous. And the amount of solar energy coming in here, again, the stove's dead and it's 60 degrees in here. The amount of solar energy coming in here is pretty unbelievable. But anyway, I'm not going to bore you anymore. This concludes my birthday celebration at the cabin. I'm going to work on the cabin today. I'm probably going to work on installing the window that faces the pond. So I'm going to work on that today. And then I'm going to go get the... I was able to source some bricks for below the wood stove. And I'm going to go look at some more car siding for the outside so I can get the outside done. So that's what the plan is for today. We'll see you all next time in the bush.